Well, good morning and welcome to Ask Mason. This is where you have an opportunity to ask any question that you want about what we're doing in city government. You can either email those to us at askmason@enid.org. We'll try to answer all those questions. Or, like today, I spoke at Rotary a week and a half ago and got a lot of additional questions about some of those topics, and I want to talk about one of those today. So that being said, today I would like to talk about our proposed new youth sports complex. But before I do, I wanted to mention this scrapes on my forehead in case people are wondering what happened. I know at my age sometimes you wonder if I just fell down, but I didn't. I actually have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old grandson, and I was wrestling with the 3-year-old, and he can get pretty rough, and I lost. And so if you're sitting at home wondering if that hurt, yes, it hurt. Scraped the skin off my forehead. So that's what happened. Our youth sports complex, I've been asked several questions on that, and I'd like to go over that. First of all, I think it's important that we point out how the city generates revenue. So if we want to go fix a road, where do those dollars come from for us to do? Well, about 3 different places. One is our services, be trash and sewer, the fee that we charge for that, what we charge for water, and then also the last one is sales tax revenue. We, unlike what a lot of people think, we get $0 out of ad valorem tax. I get people that call me all the time and say, hey, I pay my house tax, I want more done. We receive 0 out of that. Garfield County receives those dollars, not us. So it's very important that we continue to try to generate revenue. And one of the most difficult places to project revenue is through sales tax. We are the only state in the union out of 50 states. Oklahoma is the last state to not allow municipalities to share in the ad valorem tax, which is a different issue in itself, but it brings us to the ballpark. Why is it that we want to build a ballpark? Now, you can sit there and say, well, we want nice facilities for our kids, and what we have is old and it needs a lot of work. All those things are true. No one will disagree with that. We want great facilities for all of our youth, but at the same time, we want something that generates income for our community. We're fortunate in Enid that we've got several facilities already. We have the David Allen Memorial Ballpark that this year 450 plus games will be played at that facility. When we had the JUCO World Series there, it generated over $3 million worth of economic impact to our community. Very, very important. We've got the new soccer complex. We've got the Stride arena down there that we're having wrestling matches and basketball games. The soccer complex is already having tournaments that have 70 and 80 teams. I think this will continue to grow over time. So really the only piece that we lack being a complete sports hub is a youth sports complex. And the other question I get a lot is, well, we've already got Crossland. What's wrong with Crossland? And I could do a whole show on what's wrong with Crossland. Several things. It's a park and not a facility, which means that the rules and regulations are different. Did you know that whenever our EJRT wants to schedule a tournament at Crossland Park, if someone has already rented that field through the city, which they can do, we can't have the tournament out there. Did you know that it's very, very hard for us to control food being brought into the facility because it's a park and not a controlled facility? Did you know that, and I mean this facetiously, but it has a street that runs all the way across it. So when mom and dad have one child playing at this field and another child playing at that field, At nighttime, we're having young kids run across these streets. They have a lot of traffic up and down through there. And we've been so fortunate so far that we have not had anyone get hurt on that. Also, our goal is to create a youth facility that's large enough that we can have what they call 100-team tournaments. 100-team tournaments. That's 100 different teams coming into Enid all at one time over a 3 or 4 day period, and we'll play some sort of a ball tournament. That's a lot of people. A lot of people coming into Enid. And Crossland Park just does not have the acreage. It just, if we scraped every bit of it off and started over and closed the road, there's still not enough acres up there to do this complex. We think we need somewhere around 70 to 75 acres to build what we're going to need. So that being said, let me kind of tell you before I get into the revenue, kind of where we're at on that, because I've made the mistake a couple times of getting on Facebook and looking at some of the comments that have been made that we'll never build this facility, or there's no need for it, on and on and on and on, from people that absolutely have no information about anything. We've been working on this now for about 10 months. We've been negotiating on, I'm going to say 3 different land sites, trying to figure out exactly the best place to put this facility at the best price on our acquisition, on the land acquisition. We've already started doing some surveying, checking elevations on how much slope, where the drainage would have to go. We want to make sure these fields are built high enough that whenever we have rain, all the water runs away from it, and within a matter of hours, we can still have tournaments continue. So the site's very important. We have also sent out what's called RFQs, requests for qualifications. This is to design teams or engineering teams that have designed facilities just like this from all over the United States, to look at that and see if they're interested in being a part of it. We had 14 different design companies reply back. We've narrowed that down now to 6 different design companies, and we hope to cut that to 3. Once we have it down to 3, we will have a scope of work listed out in a contract form that we will send back out to these 3 design firms, and then they will bid on the design work for the scope of information that we've sent them. So we are very much on our way. We're going to have to do, once the site is selected, we'll have to do some environmental work. Anytime we spend governmental money or public money, there's a lot of hoops that we have to jump through to make sure that we do it correctly, and we're doing all those right now. So that being said, we are well on our way to getting this thing done. Some numbers I want to leave you with today before I get to the end of this is what a 100-team tournament will do for the city of Enid. And I just want to go down this list and have you think about this. Now, where did all these numbers come from? Several years ago, we hired a company that does all the analytics for youth sports. And we had them come to Enid, bring in some information and show us what that would mean. And so that's where all this information come from. So if you take 100 teams coming to Enid to play baseball, let's say, there's usually 14 players per team. So that in itself brings 1,400 people to the city of Enid. We know from that research that for every participant, for every ball player, 2.7 adults will show up and travel with that ball player. That's mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever it happens to be. But 2.7 adults will also come with that player. So that's an additional 3,780 adults that will be traveling with the 1,400 players. We also know that historically there are about 3 adult coaches that come with every single team. So with 100 teams, that's another 300 coaches that will be traveling with them. So when you add that all up, that's 5,480 people that will be coming to Enid for a 100-team tournament. Now, the question always comes up, will they come to Enid to play? They will. They will. We turn down tournaments all the time because we don't have the facilities to facilitate that. But what I do know is our teams are leaving Enid and going as far as Arkansas and Kansas and New Mexico to play in these tournaments. So those tournaments are out there. People will come and participate if we have a great facility. So back to my numbers. If you take all those adults, back out the kids, and you just look at the adults, that works out to 2,040 couples. Couples or families, let's say, 2,040 families. When you set up a 3-day tournament, on the first day you never have a team get eliminated. You play a round robin so that they all stay overnight. You figure out a way to place them so that the best team's playing the worst team, and then the next best team's playing the next worst team, until eventually you set your bracket. So if that's the case, on the first day, you have 2,040 families or couples. We also know from the data that we were provided that they will spend, on average, $446 per day when they stay overnight. So 2,040 couples at $446 is $910,000 in one day, in just one day. Now, on the second day, we know that half of those teams are going to get beat out, and they'll most likely go home. So the next night, when they stay the night, that's cut down to 1,020 adults or family units. They'll spend an average of $446 again. That's $455,000, almost $500,000 on day two, because you have half the amount of people. And then on the third day, that's going to be the championship day. Most likely they will not stay the night, depending on how late it goes. But on the third day, if you've got it down to just 500 families left, and you don't figure hotel, that's $167 that they will spend on meals and different things around town. $167, 500 families, that's $84,000. If you add that all up, that's almost $1.5 million, real dollars, direct dollars, impact in our community. And we can do this multiple times throughout the year. We can have fall tournaments, spring tournaments, summer tournaments. We can also, through the football, we can have passing leagues, 7-on-7 passing leagues. There's endless amount of tournaments with the girls softball, which is becoming a very large attraction. We think that we can have large teams also, large tournaments, a large amount of teams coming in. So it is endless what we can do on this, the amount of revenue I think it will generate when you couple that with what we're doing at David Allen, what we're doing at Strides Bank Center, and what we're also doing at the new soccer complex. So when you talk to people and they say, why are we building this? Yes, we want a great facility for our kids. Yes, we want Enid to always have the best of everything. But at the end of the day, it's important that we generate sales tax revenue. And whenever we do that, that allows us to then do other things around town that cost money to do. So that being said, that's the purpose of us building and looking at a large youth sports facility. So if you have any more questions about that, let us know. As we go on, you're going to see more and more and more about this, especially after we start the construction. I think you'll be pretty excited. I want you to know we're probably 12 months out before we actually start breaking any dirt, but it's going to happen. I'm excited about it. One other thing, question I happened to just think about. I was told that, we haven't allowed for enough girls softball teams. When we put in the paper, it was 13 baseball teams, 4 football fields, and 4 girls softball fields. That's an estimate. We don't know. When we get the design team hired, we think they will be able to give us some better information on that. So if it takes 5 or 6 girls softball fields, I'm willing to do that. We're just so early on. We had to get something down on paper. So that's what we did, and that's why we selected that. That's all I wanted to say on that today. I do want to leave you with one other thing that's coming up very soon. That's this Saturday. We are going to have the ribbon cutting for the Martin Luther King mural that we've painted down on City Hall. I want to invite everyone to come and show up at this. The doors are going to open at 9:30 in the morning. We're going to have 2 or 3 speakers. That will all be inside, and then we will go outside because of the heat and actually cut the ribbon later on. So that being said, please show up for that. It's very important. I think that we've had some challenges over this last year. I think that in the media we were painted a certain way, and I think this is our opportunity to show just what a great community, how diverse we are, and how inclusive we are with everyone that lives in our community. So that's going to be at 9:30 this Saturday, the 17th. It's open to everyone, so please show up down at City Hall and be a part of that. Thank you. If you have questions, send them in. Talk to me, call City Hall and leave a question. I'll be happy to answer those. Thank you so much, and enjoy your day.